So glad to have Joey Liu here for our discussion today. Well, we've been talking a long time now about the difference in the Western religious system between the Protestants and the Catholics. And of course, growing up in China, this must look like a very alien dispute culturally. Were you familiar with these two groups prior to our time together in classes? Is there any idea among, say, a typical student in China of who the Pope is, or is the Pope commonly known in China?
I think people will only know that there is this kind of Pope existing in the world, but they may not be interested, or they may not focus on who he is or what he does.
Right, and we've talked about how the Protestants were for individual freedoms, and of course we looked at Oliver Cromwell in a couple of cases. Of course, that may well be because of my own bias, you know, being raised by a Protestant minister father who liked Cromwell. And I think, as we discussed, though, he also destroyed countless thousands of Catholic monasteries and invaded Ireland and really paved the way for the genocide in the United States, the Puritans who came over as the first English settlers. But I'm wondering, as we had discussed this before, the Confucian desire or insistence on the need for a central leader, and that everyone really owes their obedience to that central leader. Would you say that Confucianism is more like Catholicism than it is like Protestantism?
Well, from my perspective, I think Confucianism has some points from Protestants and some points too from Catholics. I mean, in Confucianism, you have to obey the basic laws of the society, and they are often the most important rules or the most important laws you have to obey in your life. And this one is more like the Catholic part, because you cannot break the rule, and this desire for a higher or someone higher to guard you, this role of a father or of a emperor to guard you and to lead you forward. This is more like the Catholic system. But I think the pragmatism that performs in Confucianism is also a significant role that is somehow like the Protestants.
Okay, so you're saying the Confucian system organizationally is Catholic, but the idea of rights or individual rights would be shared with Protestants?
Because the individual rights in Protestants, like every believer have their individual rights to believe in the God itself, and to, like, not like Catholic says. In Catholic, that you have this Pope-like guy to try to explain the Bible to you. In Protestant, there is no such guy. And I think it is the same in Confucianism. Like, everyone has their own rights to obey the rule and to gain their own position in the society that Confucian kind of constructed. And the rights between every believer in Confucianism is supposed to be equal. However, there may be some father-like or emperor guy to guide you forward.
Right. I mean, to my mind, I always sort of equated, or not equated, but saw the Taoism side of Chinese religion as, if you will, the Protestant balance to the organizational force of the Catholic or Confucian system. What do you think about that? Is that a conceivable analogy?
Hmm. The Taoism, well, from my opinion, the Taoism is, yeah, it is opposing Confucianism because it has its ideas of the government not interfering and people having their own lifestyles. Like they try to break this rules made by the Confucians. Mm. But I think they somehow differs from the Protestants part because mm, I mean because Catholic and Protestants they are the different explanations or like different branches of the same thing. That is the belief in Abrahamic religion. But
Mhm.
I think the total difference between Confucianism and Taoism is that they do not even believe the same thing. I mean, Taoism, uh, about yin and yang, it should be the two sides of the nature. But Confucian is more, I think the Confucian system is more focusing on how to build up an ideal world and a utopia that is monoism, and it differs completely from Taoism.